everybody. I was planning on recording another video this week, another bookish video this week, but instead of recording today and setting up and planning a video, I decided to clean my house, which is not as fun as recording a video, but is one of those unfortunate necessary things that we all do from time to time. I thought I would just make a reading vlog because on Sunday, today is Friday, March 22nd, and on Sunday my family and I are going to Whistler for a few days to spend time with my best friend and her sons and just be in the mountains and a little ski town. And so I thought I'd bring you along and you can see what Whistler's like, and I'll talk about what I'm reading as I'm reading it, and that'll be this week's video. So right now I'm reading Ariel, the poetry collection by Sylvia Plath. I am very close to finish this. This was published posthumously, so after she had passed away, and I believe it was assembled by her husband Ted Hughes and was dedicated to her children. There are some beautiful poems in here, but it's very, very heavy. So I'm glad I'm almost done. I'm finding the heaviness of it a bit overwhelming right now, but there are definitely some beautiful, beautiful poems in here. Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Thien. I've been looking forward to reading this book for years now, since the hype began when it came out. This book is set in Canada in the 90s and in China beginning around the time of the beginning of the Cultural Revolution. It has two timelines that you're flipping back and forth through. I'm halfway and I'm not loving it, and I feel sad about that because I wanted to love it. I've never done a 5-star predictions video, but I probably would have put this one on there if I would have made one. So I'm a little bit disappointed that I don't love it, but I am invested enough in the characters to read it to the end, and I will report more about that probably when I do finish it. I'd like to have it finished by the end of the month, but I don't know. That's part of the reason that it's taking me so long to read this book, is that it's just not lighting me on fire to read it. So it is more of it feels like an obligation to read it, basically. So, unfortunately. And then my last read of March was supposed to be The Amber Spyglass by Pullman, the third in the His Dark Materials series. I don't know. I probably am going to start this on Sunday and read it at the same time as Do Not Say We Have Nothing, just because I need a little something to lift me up, give me a little bit of a bright light. And usually these books are kind of pacey and the plot moves pretty quickly and you get a lot of interesting things, dynamic things, suspenseful things happening. So I'm hoping that The Amber Spyglass will bring that energy to my reading. And that is the check-in of what I'll be reading while we are on our little trip. And I hope you enjoy, and I will check in again later. Talk to you a little bit about Do Not Say We Have Nothing. I have read, I don't know how many more pages, maybe 50 more pages, 100. And I'm really starting to connect with the story in a way that I wasn't before. So, I still have issues with it overall, but I think that my connection to some characters is developing, and I'm happy about that. So, I'll check in again soon. So I'm back from Whistler, and you'll have seen the footage from that. Had a great time. I'm really sleepy because just spent time with my friend and stayed up later than usual. Had insomnia for one night. So I finished Ariel by Sylvia Plath, her poetry collection that was published after she committed suicide, and I did like it. It was a bit too much of the same tone for me, so I wouldn't say it's like my favorite thing ever, but I definitely will revisit a lot of the poems in there. I think some of them are just stunningly beautiful, and some of the imagery in there is stunningly beautiful. And Do Not Say We Have Nothing. I've got 100 pages left. And I don't know why this book has been such a challenge for me to read, but it really has. I haven't started The Amber Spyglass yet because for some reason I just really want to get Do Not Say We Have Nothing finished and then move on. I feel like this book has to stand alone for whatever reason. So I really want to finish it in the next couple days. I think I might be able to finish it by the end of the month. So the 31st is a Sunday, so I will definitely endeavor to get this book like finished up and wrapped up with March. And yeah, like I said, I haven't started The Amber Spyglass, but I've got it here. So as soon as Do Not Say We Have Nothing is done, I will go into The Amber Spyglass, and I have to figure out what's going on with my buddy read as well. So that is my reading update, and I have a really busy 3 days coming up at work, so my reading will definitely be slower and less eventful in the next 3 days. So I will check in again once I have more to say about the book. I may wait and just wait till I'm finished and check in then. Okay, bye. Good morning. It is March 31st, and you probably can hear my kids yelling in the next room, so excuse the noise. Yeah, it's the end of March. It has gone by super quickly, even though it's a longer month for me, and reading has been good, but it's felt very disjointed for me. But I wanted to check in today and get this vlog posted because I haven't posted a video in a while. And so I finished Do Not Say We Have Nothing by Madeleine Thien a few days ago. And the last time I checked in about it, I said that I had mixed feelings. And I definitely think the second half of the book worked better for me than the first half. And I am really glad I read it. There are some, in terms of a piece of a record of a historical period that I knew very little about, I really appreciated reading this book. I also fell in love with more characters as the story progressed. So in the second half of the book, I was able to connect more with the characters. And there were definitely some, Julie, which was my favorite character. She just really drew me in, and I'm grateful for her being in the book, because I think without her, this book would have stayed at 2 stars for me, and I gave it 3 stars. So the things that didn't work about this book for me was the structure. I don't, as a general rule, like chapters that go on and on and on. And there were some chapters in this book that left no good places to take a break from reading, to stop. And I found that very disjointed, because you don't always have time to sit down and read for a 50 to 100 page interval. And that happened a lot in this book, where, you know, some of the chapters just went on and on. I also felt that the transitions between the early 2000s time and the 1950s China and into the preceding years, 1960s China and 1980s China, it was hard sometimes, the transition between them all. And also there is a story, a book of records, that kind of ties everybody together in this, and jumping back into that story, I also found it just didn't flow well enough for me to keep me moving in a method that made the story flow. And so I did struggle with that. I struggled with all the transitions. I also struggled with Marie Miling's story. She just felt like a tool to me. She didn't feel like a fleshed out character. Her quest to discover the truth about her family and the other family that was tied to her family was wonderful, and it had its merits, but it didn't make me care about her as a character, and it didn't make me feel like she was necessary in the story. So I understood what she stood for in terms of being this person who was disconnected from her family's past, and that living in Canada was also part of that she was disconnected from the source of where most of her family's story came from. But I just didn't, like, she didn't really, I got really frustrated, for instance, when she was talking about her marriage, and she was married to this person, and it was literally 3 sentences, and then the marriage was over. And it just didn't feel like she was a mature character, because she didn't have any relationships besides her relationship with A Ming that lasted or gave her any depth as an adult. And I found that very sad. She was just very sad to me as a character, that she basically, all her life and all her purpose was based on finding out about the past, and she had no ability to live in the present. And I don't know if that was really resolved for me in the ending either, that she had finally... And I think that's one of the points of the novel, is that you can't resolve the past necessarily and you have to live in the present, but I just don't think Mi-ling actually did. So anyway, overall though, despite my problems with parts of the book, I still enjoyed the fact that I read it, learning more about the protests in Tiananmen Square, learning more about the Cultural Revolution and what it was like to live in that time was fascinating. And I definitely feel intrigued to read more about that period in Chinese history. So I think in that way, this book was really successful for me. So certainly not a book that I would reread or would rave about, but definitely it's a book that fits into a very specific category for me. One that I'm glad I read it, and I feel like I got things out of it, and there were parts of it that I really enjoyed, but that as an overall reading experience, I can't say that I would say that it was an amazing overall reading experience. Yeah, so that's Do Not Say We Have Nothing. I read March was a pretty okay reading month. I think I ended up doing 1.5 audiobooks and reading, I don't even know now, I didn't bring the numbers with me, sorry. So I wouldn't say that I didn't feel like March was as successful of a reading month as January and February were for me. But I finally read Do Not Say We Have Nothing, which I've been wanting to read for several years. So that was a great accomplishment. And I will be back again soon with some other videos once I have more time to film. I think April is still a busy month for me, but it's not going to be quite as disjointed with spring holidays and all those types of things. And I will wrap the vlog up here, and I will be back again soon to chat to you more about books and art.